Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I'm covering Gallery Girls, episode 5, I'm Set Free. Ooh, what a good episode. We have the Sucklord on this episode. The Sucklord, oh my gosh. Let's get into it, let's talk about it. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives of New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. We start out with Angela. She's stressed about her photo show coming up. She had scouted a location that she loved, but it fell through. She says she's having pangs of guilt because she was been such a bitch to Alex. Alex calls her and says, guess what? We found a venue. So he's done all this work for free for her. She's been a bitch to him and he still comes through. Angela says, I'm not mad at you anymore. You've redeemed yourself. And Alex says the only minor thing is it has to be this Saturday. So she's got to hurry up and get her butt in gear and get ready for this photo show. Then we have Claudia. So this is crazy. So Claudia is on the way to go see Sucklord. This was Chantal's idea. Well, she calls and says, sorry girl, I'm running late. Claudia says, the whole reason we're doing this is because, well, you know his stuff. You wanted this. And she's like, sorry girl. So Claudia's like, okay. So she's trying to take this chance on this guy because they feel like his stuff will sell. So she goes over to meet him, and we meet Sucklord. He reminds me so much of Jeffrey from that early season of Project Runway. Do you remember Jeffrey? Yeah, they even have the same personality. So he likes to repurpose toys and use them for political statements. Of course, Occupy Wall Street was a big issue back during this time, so there's a lot of play on that. He shows where he repurposes toilet paper. He charges $25 and calls it ass wipe. Claudia says, I'm going to be open-minded and hear what this guy has to say, but he's a douchebag. And he's just so crazy. So Chantal shows up and she is just like so into this guy. It's so weird. So Claudia's trying to explain this might be a little aggressive for our customer base. He's like, I guarantee you it will sell. It will pack the gallery. And so they agree to give him a chance. Chantal is saying, I think he's adorable. Claudia says, I don't trust anyone called the Sucklord when his name is probably Steve. He comes up with this idea to do Occupy Your Asshole. He talks about wanting to make tampons. And again, Chantal says, he's great. And Claudia says, he's terrible. So we go over to Amy's apartment. Her brother is in town, and he likes to cook. This is Parker. And he likes to cook, and they're having a dinner party. So they invited Liz, even though she was a total bitch to her. Chantal calls and says she's sick. And then right after that, Claudia calls and says she's sick. So Amy says, this is the worst party ever. So she has a friend, her brother has a friend, 4 of them eat dinner. And then Maggie and Kerri end up showing up. Maggie says Amy's apartment is decorated like an old person's house. It's her parents' apartment. And Ryan, Maggie's boyfriend, ends up coming with some friends. And we see that Angela has arrived. And not much happens here. Just Liz is a no-show, no call. What a bitch. So the next day, we're over at this print center, and Sharon, who is Amy's boss as well as Kerri's boss, is meeting with this lady to talk about prints and, purchasing for wealthy clients and that sort of thing. And Amy's supposed to be meeting there. Well, Amy's late. Amy's very late, and that's all they can talk about. So it looks terrible on her. She doesn't show up, and then finally she shows up looking like Kim Zolciak. Look at the hair. She finally shows up and is like, oh, sorry, it's so hard to get down here. Well, Sharon's not impressed. She says, this is a resource, and I want to remind you in the future, if you could be on time because it sends the wrong message. I hope you can make it on time. And Amy's like, sorry. Then we go over to Angela at Milk Studio. She's trying to have her images printed for Saturday. The theme is solitude and moroseness with a pop of color. That's what she says. She wants to prove to herself that she can do this. She's having 12 images printed. And some of the photos look nice. I particularly like this one. I know she's excited about it. Then we go over to Maggie's at Murray Hill. She and her boyfriend Ryan are going to her mom's house in Pennsylvania. She says she has a great relationship with her mom, and her mom's super proud of her. They take the bus, and they end up in Pennsylvania. So when they get there, they're talking to Mom about her internship and how rough it's been. And it's interesting because Ryan is even sticking up for her, saying, listen, she's worked there for years, and nothing's come of this, and it's hard on her. She doesn't really want to talk about it. We find out a little bit more about her. Her parents are divorced. Her dad's side has a lot of money, mom's side not so much. And she says, my family doesn't live a flashy lifestyle. We're more modest. Ryan's mom unfortunately passed away very young, so her mom is extra sweet to him. When her mom's cooking, she says, I can tell Maggie's not happy. And she's not happy in New York. And she invites her to come back and live at home, and Maggie declines. They sit around at dinner. They talk more about her internship. The boyfriend says he has power over her career and lets her know that all the time. And they all tell her she should walk away. So it's hard for her to talk about. She feels it. She knows it. She doesn't want to talk about it. Then we go over to End of Century. Last month was bad. They owe more money than they sold. They're desperate. They're going to host this Sucklord event. And he comes in and says, hey, I'm here with the shit. Claudia says, I'm afraid he's going to alienate our customers with this stuff. He's excited because he slapped their logo all over his stuff and said they need his followers to be successful. He says he's a god in the designer toy world, and he doesn't give a shit. His theme is Occupy Cybertron. He wants to do some performance art, so he's talking to them about this. And they're very nervous. He says, don't be nervous. Everyone is under my command. I will only let in people willing to buy stuff. And they don't know about all this. They don't know about Sucklord. Sucklord. So moving on from the Sucklord, we go over to Maggie, who meets with this Brenda Taylor gallery in Chelsea. She's just trying to find a job. She's over it. Talking to her family made her realize things won't change with Eli, so she wants to move on. This lady is very strange. She's talking to Maggie about working there. Maggie's not answering the questions very well. And the lady ends up taking her into the showroom area and showing her this large piece of work and tells her, hey, don't you think this looks like a vagina? It was very strange. It was a weird scene. Maggie says, I like the gallery, but you know when a place isn't going to be the right fit. And she knew it. Back over at End of Century, it's the Sucklord event. People are in masks and helmets, and they have all these toys out, and everybody's excited. They're trying to figure out who's going to spend money so they can let them in. And they're showing that that's representing the 1%, is the people going in to spend money. And the 99% are outside. Well, they end up bursting in as part of this performance art, and it's just the weirdest thing, but it works because it's a huge crowd and everybody's super excited about it. So what represents the 99% come busting in with their signs, and Claudia says there's a riot of geeks. The Sucklord says, okay, you guys can stay, here's to the 100%. So Claudia says, well, I'm shocked at how much we've made. And we see all the money they're taking in. They have a huge pile of cash. Plus, they say the cash it's been mostly in cards that people have been paying. So they've made some money on this event. That's the annoying part, is they didn't say how much they made. I wish they did. But they never said. Maybe they'll say it on the next episode. They did not say it on this episode. But it looked like they were doing pretty good. Look at that wad of cash. So Claudia is saying, I've never held this much cash in my hand. I have to hand it Chantal. She was right. Chantal says, I think this goes to show EOC can make some changes. And I hope Claudia can come up with creative ways to help make us profitable. Then we go over to Angela, who is preparing for her big event, her big show. She's at the venue where it's a friend's showroom where her photos will be hung. And she's super excited about it. She says she wants to be an it girl, whatever that means. It's a Soho showroom for shoes, but she's going to be showing her pictures there. And she's hanging them up, and she says she's going to be selling them for $500. She fears that her friends will make fun of her. This is something she brings up a lot. She's scared her friends are going to make fun of her show, especially Chantal and Claudia. And she says their opinions are important to her. Then we go over to Amy. And just when I'm starting to feel for Amy, because, Liz has been such a nightmare to her, we see this scene, and then I remember why Amy's an asshole. So Kerri comes to meet Amy at this place, and Amy says, I made a list for Kerri. She says, I've made some notes for you from Sharon. And Amy says, I wrote a list for Kerri so she can do the easy stuff, and I can be freed up to do art stuff with Sharon. Kerri to camera says, I already have more work, and I have a full plate, I have a full-time job, I have stuff to do for Sharon, and now I have to do Amy's work for her? And she says, I'm starting to get worried. I'm overwhelmed by my jobs. And we see this list. And Amy's so proud of herself because she thinks, I've come up with this list on my own. And Sharon doesn't know. I mean, it's delegating and stuff, but it's completely wrong. Interns, and Amy's just come up with a list of busy work for Kerri that she doesn't want to do. And Kerri's already overwhelmed, so she's not feeling this at all. Then we go over to Maggie. She's interviewing at this Mizell gallery, and she just wants to get out from this Eli gallery. She's interviewing. They're asking her about foreign languages and what she's learned at Eli Klein. She can't hardly answer the question. She's stumbling. But the guy that interviews her seems to like her a little better and says, why has your internship not turned into a job? And she can't really answer that. He says she's delightful and will call her after the holiday to talk about possibilities. So then we're over at Angela's apartment, and it's Saturday. It's the night of the Totally Not Depressed photo show. That's what she named it, Totally Not Depressed. She says she's self-conscious and very worried about people's opinion. This is a different side to Angela we don't normally see. Usually she's confident and fearless, and this is a big deal for her. Her friends start to arrive. She says she's teetering. She says her photos are teetering on moroseness. Spencer says it's awesome for her first show. Chantal says he's just kissing her ass. Enough with the Asian fetish. Oh my God. And Chantal then says she doesn't like photography. She finds it easy to manipulate. Could you imagine saying that at a photography event that your friend is throwing? That's awful. And Angela says Chantal's being a little bit of a bitch. No, I think Chantal's being a big bitch. That's just wrong. She's jealous that her boyfriend likes Angela, so she's being a bitch to her. Eli shows up, and he brought his artist friend with him. Maggie arrives with her boyfriend. Liz arrives. Angela asks where Liz was, talking about at Amy's house the other night, and Liz says, well, I just didn't come. Angela says, I didn't realize how wealthy Amy was. And at that time, Amy walks in. I didn't love Amy in the earlier scene with Kerri, how she was delegating all that stuff, but I did like Amy here. She's very sweet to Angela, said she wouldn't miss the show, and she was there to support. Meanwhile, when Liz leaves, she has to be a bitch again. She said the vibe wasn't bad of that little thing, that little shindig. That's exactly what she said, talking about Angela's photo show. So it ends, and Angela's super happy. She says she accomplished something tonight. She didn't sell anything, but she's still happy because people really admired her work. Then we go over to Sharon's office where Kerri and Amy work, and the shit's about to hit the fan. Kerri goes to find Sharon and says, listen, I met with Amy, and she made me these handwritten notes, and I don't I don't really understand them. And Sharon's like, what? I didn't ask her to do that. She said, that'd be really passive aggressive of me to hand work to Amy to hand to you. And she says, it's not as if Amy has seniority over you. And she says, this is noise. I'm not interested. I don't need to deal with this. I'm going to have to. This is child's play. I don't have time for this. I will deal with it, though. So you know some stuff's coming for Amy the next episode. We see a flash to the next episode. We got Art Basel in Miami. This is a big event I'm super excited for. I remember a lot of drama goes down there. So I can't wait to talk about that. It sounds like there are fights with Liz, Chantal, and Claudia. They're all getting into it. Amy and Sharon have a thing. I think Sharon's super pissed at Amy for the whole giving Kerri all that work debacle. Claudia and Chantal really get into it, and Liz and Claudia really get into it as well. So lots of drama going on here. Should be a great episode. I cannot wait to cover it. I really look forward to talking about that Art Basel stuff because I think a lot of stuff goes down there. A lot of implosion of friendships. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I love talking about Gallery Girls. This is so much fun. I'm enjoying this trip down memory lane, and I hope you are too. Leave me comments below. I love them. I read them all. You can follow me on Twitter at Real Recaps or just comment below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.